It's a bear. Good morning. Hey, what's up? This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful and slightly warm Lauderdale by the Sea today. Looks like my camera's freezing up there. Yeah, about almost 80 degrees. It's like 77, 78 already. It's been a lot cooler this past week, but I guess we got to have a couple of those warm days. And it beats the hell out of minus 30, doesn't it? So, well, anyways. Hey, let's move into precious metal markets. And as I said, what, me worry? Hey, you know, kind of half expected this, what we got going on. Oh, my theme, my mantra. Thanks, guys, for helping me out with those words when my brain fart the other day. But my theme and mantra of next year and the remainder of this year is think for yourself and always question authority and question yourself. Someone else brought that point up as well. I question myself quite often. You know, you can't question others till you start questioning yourself. You know what I mean? So always question what we know. You know, question what we're talking about. You know, well, anyways, you know my thoughts on that. Let's move into metals markets real quick here. It looks like it's Wednesday, hump day, and I'd like to get through this day real quick myself as well. And kind of quiet out there too as far as retail precious metal markets. Looks like a little up from where it was this morning. We did see some monkey hammering, particularly in the silver market here. Let's take a look. We're currently, the low overnight was around 1790. This, again, when did this probably happen? Well, I'll let you know in a moment. And a high of 1808, which was last night's trading hours. We'll look at the 24-hour charts here in just a moment. And $1,800.60. We're just tad over that psychological $1,800 mark. Up a little bit, but again, monkey hammered slightly this morning. Silver not so much up to its high, because you know silver was pumping up to that 23. What is it, 23.45 or something crazy the other day or yesterday? Not crazy, but up quite a bit from, or down quite a bit from where it was. Overnight, 20 high, low at 22.62, a high at 23.18. The high at 23.18 was, in all likelihood, we'll look at the 24-hour charts here shortly again, was last night after New York closed. You know, it was a good closing yesterday. Currently sitting at 22.81, up slightly from that 22.62 mark by almost 20 cents. Platinum looking pretty well here, and I'd like to thank Chart Guy for making mention of platinum. We'll read his comment in a little bit. It'll be in the comment section from yesterday's video, and we'll get to that. So platinum at 968.39 currently, a low of 962, a high of 979. And still a great buy below 1,000. I mean, all these metals are a great buy, folks. As I said a million times, you're going to look back on these prices. I guarantee if you plan on living long enough, and I don't mean you're going to have to live like Methuselah, I think it is. Say that 3 times fast, but you're going to have to, you know, in a reasonable amount of time, you're going to look back. A very reasonable amount of time, and I'm really surprised it hasn't happened yet, but it will. It'll be surprising. It'll probably be explosive to some degree, but again, just my opinion. But you'll look back at $1,800 gold. You'll be talking with your other stacker friends, and $23 silver, and $25 silver, and $1,000 platinum, and you'll look back, and even at higher levels, you'll look back and you'll say, "Wow, man, I wish I had bought more." It's unlikely that you're gonna feel like the opposite of that, that you wish you had never bought any at all. So anyways, let's take a look at the 24-hour charts here and see what we got going on. And we know exactly when the monkey hammer came out. It came out in the crooked COMEX markets. I think that's going to be pretty obvious here. Well, actually, not so much for gold. All right, I spoke just a tad bit too soon. Looks like the market was actually up in gold this morning. I think maybe the opposite for silver. We'll take a look here. They don't always trade in the same direction, but don't always, but they do in the long term, medium long term, they always will. Short term, they can kind of move in different directions because of different types of monkey hammer. But looks like the gold prices were actually starting to decline last night. Could have been in the Hong Kong market, London market, and you know, again, I've said this many times, the problem with these charts, it's just really, some of these markets overlap each other, like London, New York Globex, Hong Kong, New York NYMEX, so it's kind of hard to tell exactly where these markets or where the trades were done that caused a drop in price like this, in gold overnight. Well, anyways, we know it was either in Hong Kong, London, New York, or maybe just transitioning to all three. But if it was in the New York Globex market, that's a crooked market, in my opinion. Crooked Comex runs that, and I don't think anybody does. The only time you ever see whenever you see big gold trades and silver trades done in New York Globex, it's usually an effort to monkey hammer prices down. But I sound like a broken record because I've said that many times before. And let's take a look at silver markets, because I think it's going to be a little bit different on that line. Let me just do a quick refresh and see where we're at right now. This is us today in the black line, and it looks like, again, the markets were it looks like the monkey hammering for silver as well were in the overnight markets. That's kind of a bit odd. We don't see this very often here. You see this line right here, not of recent, the last couple months. Same thing with gold. Again, you could almost overlap those two lines together. Bit odd. Again, I was somewhat expecting, because I did not look at the 24-hour chart prior to starting this show. And no, I don't keep notes here, folks. I don't make notes. I just wing it when I do these. It's pretty obvious, isn't it? Well, no less, kind of a weird market because the drift started last night after New York closing, and kind of slowly drifted downward overnight. Again, not sure which market that was, and silver doing the same thing. In fact, kind of counter trend, not counter trend, but the trend is typically getting monkey hammered in New York in the morning through the noontime. But it looks like we've kind of got the opposite scenario going on here. We've got an up market both in gold and silver in the NYMEX markets. But let's not try to figure out that right now. Bit complicated, but I sure wish I had someone that I could bounce this kind of stuff off of, like a Ted Butler. Hey Ted, what's up, man? Why has this happened? Well, no less. Hey, listen, what me worry? You like my thumbnail there? In fact, that thumbnail is probably, most of you are wondering what I look like, because I really don't. I'm not one of those guys that wants to sit here and have you look at my face while I'm talking. My vanity level is not at that point. So, and I probably kind of look like Alfred P. Newman. Is Alfred P. or Alfred E. Newman? Sorry about that, but I kind of look like the what me worry guy there. So, anyways, why am I not worried about precious metals? Well, first off, again, I've repeated myself 1,000 times here. It's been around for 5,000 years. Excellent track record, not going away, not going bankrupt or anything like that. So I don't worry about that. Excuse me one second, let me get a sip of coffee here. Not an issue for me. The other thing I just look at, we are the longest surviving fiat currency in history. The United States dollar is, since 1972 officially, when Nixon took us off the gold standard and said we're all Keynesians now. It's been a free fall pretty much since then. And a couple charts here I want to show you is another reason why I don't worry. First off, before we look at these gold and silver charts, and again, I'm going to kind of breeze through them real quick. Consumer price index for, this is I believe, an official government website right here. CPI index for all urban consumers, purchasing power of the consumer dollar in the U.S. city average, okay? This chart, for those of you who are thinking, oh, that's a long-term chart, no. I just tightened this chart up this morning here. Look, this is a one-year chart, folks. This is from January to, January 1st, 2020 to this year, November 2021. I guess it hasn't been updated recently. But look at your purchasing power of your dollar, what it's done in just a year. Take a look at this. I mean, this is scary, really. And I'm going to back that chart off a little bit here. Well, here, the 1 year. Let's see, you can hit the 1 year. There's the 1 year chart right there. November to November. That's pretty scary, folks, and that's the reason I don't worry about the price of gold and silver. When it does dip, it's just monkey hammering in the paper markets, and provides a great opportunity to buy in my opinion, to buy the dips in physical, not paper. I'd avoid the paper markets. Again, it's counterparty risk. I don't like paper markets. It kind of defeats the purpose of owning gold and silver, unless you're one of the multi-billionaires out there that listen to me every day. And you don't have the storage for it. But I can show you how to hide that stuff pretty easily. Well, no less, let's take a look at this, and let's just go out to the 5-year chart and see where this chart over. And this is why I don't worry. Why worry, folks? Why worry? Look at this chart. We're out the 5-year right now. Look at the purchasing power of the U.S. dollar. And I said this. I told you so. Sorry, but I said this here, and I didn't hear many people talking about this. This has been happening for a long time. There's a lot of people out there that have the red flavor, the blue flavor, and they're very biased to the red or blue. I'm biased to neither. I'm biased to my fellow working peeps out there and my fellow Americans and my country, which I love very much, and the peeps in it even, whether they agree with me or not. But no less, I'm not a blue or red fan per se. And this has been happening under the auspices, I keep using that word, I gotta make sure I'm using the proper term, but this has been under the, this decline in currencies has been happening, again, since Nixon, it's been in real decline, but even prior to that, under both red and blue power sharing agreements, the red and blue power sharing agreements. It's been happening under both parties here. So it's just a continual decline. This is why I don't worry about it. Let me go out to the 10-year. That is the 10-year. Let's go out to the max. Take a look at that, folks. There's your chart since 19. There's when the Federal Reserve took over our banking system instead of our government handling it with gold and silver like they had done prior to that. This is when private bankers stole our economy right here. All right, 1913. That's when IRS was created as well. Think about that for a second. Same exact time that the Fed came into play. What a coincidence. But no less, there's your 1933 Depression, where the price of gold, had gone up. Why did it go up? Why did the price of gold go up? Because FDR had everybody turn in their gold, and then they raised the price of gold. But ever since that point, it's been downward since. And as I have said over and over and over, right here, Nixon took us off the gold standard right here in this period. We have been in an accelerated decline ever since then. Fortunately, we've had some supposed fiscal conservatives in the red party somewhat for the last, I'd say since the 1970s and 80s. Maybe some fiscal conservatives. I really wouldn't even call them that. They've never, but anyways, more so than the blue side, more fiscal conservative than the blue side. But as soon as the blue side got a chance to take over, as I said over and over and over again, socialist and communist and socialist, mostly socialists, I guess, and progressives, I should say, not communists, but I have no respect for communists or progressives, but socialists and progressives, I just don't think they know any better. Most of them are very well-intentioned people, even the ones in office. They got good intentions for people, but when it comes to a checkbook, never give a socialist or a progressive a checkbook, ever, ever, ever. You know what you do is you let them take care of your kids. You put them in charge of schools, not the checkbook, but you put them in charge of schools. You put them in charge of helping animals. You put them in charge of helping the planet. They're good at stuff like that, but never, ever, ever give a socialist or a progressive a checkbook, and that's the mistake that we did not too long ago. However, you know what? The red side is no more fiscally responsible, or a little bit more, but not much. I mean, there's only a little bit more. But when it comes to their own favorite causes on the red side, like wars, and I just recently saw that pharmaceutical companies have paid huge amounts of money to Republicans here recently, too. We'll get into that in the ZH. But no less, look at this. We're just in a decline, folks. And as of the new administration, I said that a year before the new administration, the new blue administration took over, took power, whatever, however they did it, legal or not. Before they took over, I knew, I just said it. I said that we're going to just see an acceleration in the decline in the value or the power of the dollar, of what the dollar can buy. And that's exactly what we're seeing, exactly what I told you almost a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Almost 2 years ago. We're in a accelerated section of this decline because of irresponsible people in D.C., and it's a fact. Like I said, you can't give socialists and progressives a checkbook. It's just a bad idea, and unfortunately, that's what America did. No less, and the rest of the world's not doing any better too. The dollar is to my feeling, the dollar is the strongest fiat currency out there, and cryptos don't even hold a candle to dollars. I really don't believe that. I know cryptos are limited, but the dollar. Cryptos are electronic fiat, in my opinion, and the dollar is a paper fiat run by governments and run by central bankers. I think they have a lot more pull and say than, again, bankers and governments hate competition. That's why cryptos will always be probably relegated to a money market fund to some sort, if it's not outright made illegal. But no, I'm digressing here. As I said, why I'm not worried about the price of gold, because just look at a chart like this. Let's look at another chart and show you why I'm not worried about the price of gold. The gold to monetary base ratio, I'm going to read this. The interactive chart shows the ratio of the gold price to the St. Louis adjusted monetary base back to 1918. The monetary base roughly matches the size of the Federal Reserve balance sheet, which indicates the level of new money creation required to prevent debt deflation. Previous gold bulls markets ended when this ratio crossed over the 4.8 level. This little paragraph, if you didn't read it, you'd probably go right past it here on the graph, but kind of a very interesting thing. Gold markets ended when the ratio crossed over the 4.8 level. So let's take a look at our past gold markets here. I'm going to go, we got to go all years here, folks. So let's first go to our first real bull market. A lot of people think that our first market was 1980. It was not. It was probably in the 1970s when we first saw the run up after mid-70s, and then it backed off a little bit, something that we're seeing happen now, I believe. Similar situation. So there's our first bull market, and if you take a look, you know, it's below that 4.8 that they suggested, but take a look at this here. And again, read this. But previous gold bull markets ended when this ratio crossed over 4.8. So when's the last time it crossed over 4.8? Well, that would be March 1980. So more or less, if this statement is true, previous gold markets ended when the ratio crossed 4.8. If this market is true, since then, we haven't really seen a major bull, have we? There's 2008, there's a 2000, let's take a look at the 2012 market right here. There's the 2012 market. We're not even close to our 4.8. Does that mean that we are in a, well, that would look like a rundown, but does that mean that we are in the next leg up to a next major bull, that this is going to get, you know, hit the 4.8 level? I don't know, but take a look at that gold to monetary base ratio. This should tell you why you don't have to worry. What, me worry? No, don't worry about this stuff, folks. The charts prove that you don't have to worry about it. Gold prices, and the history shows us that as well. Gold price and US dollar correlation, 10-year chart. There you go. There's another reason I don't worry. Let's kind of just point out the last bull markets that we had. Gold right there, we're in that 1700, 2000, close to, I'm not quite sure. This is probably adjusted for inflation, maybe, I'm not sure, but no less. I know gold broke over the $2,000 mark. No, it wasn't then. It was as of recent here. There it is over to the right. So there's one bull market. Let me see if we get all years here. Let's just go in all years. Oh, that is all years. They really don't go back further into the 1980 market. But take a look. The yellow is the gold. The blue is the, I'm sorry, what am I talking about? The U is the dollar correlation, the dollar. And if you look, you could, if you inverted this chart, they would almost fit right on top of each other. Except for here. Look how, this is kind of odd too, make of it of what you will, but there's a 2012 bull market right there, and there's our 2020 bull market in gold. You see the little gold line at 1942. Again, I was pretty sure it was above 2000 at some point, but there you go right there. But here's the strange thing. Look how these two kind of converge on each other, and instead of acting the opposite, they're almost working in unison. I find that little pattern odd. Hey, chart guy, if you're watching, what do you make of this right here? So let's take a look at another chart that says why. Why would I worry? You know, what me worry? Fed balance sheet versus the gold price. And look at this. I think gold was actually starting to play catch. Well, gold was doing very well here. Look at the Fed balance sheet. It was quite a bit lower at the time, but look at how that's exploded to the upside, and look at the difference right here. That's incredible. I think gold is just waiting to do a catch-up here. Well, anyways, these are the charts that I look at, and I just say, you know what, there's no reason to worry. We're all going to look back at these prices that we're looking at right now, and let me do a quick refresh. We're all going to look at these prices right now, or look back and say, wow, that was cheap, man. Just like we do when we look back on $10 silver, and just like we do when we look back on $1,000 gold now, which wasn't too awful long ago in the grand scheme of things. You know, just like we're going to look back on $5 silver, and when gold was actually sub-1,000 in that 500 to 700 range, and you can even go back further than that. We're always going to look back on gold, silver, and platinum and say, man, remember when it was that price? I wish I had bought more. And I hear that quite often. God, I wish I had bought back then. I wish I had bought back then. I don't know why people think that buying it and just putting away, it's a good idea actually, because you're never going to wake up and hear it went bankrupt, and chances are it's always going to be worth more than what you paid for it. It doesn't pay dividends, of course, and it's not as risky as other things. However, really gold and silver is more about wealth preservation than anything else. If you look at it as a get-rich-quick kind of deal, then you're in the wrong market. However, you can make a lot of money in a short period of time given the right circumstances, and I think a lot of us are going to see that not too long in the future. But again, when you're buying gold and silver, think of it as wealth preservation first. Everything else is icing on the cake. Let's take a look at the infographic journal here, which I thought was pretty darn cool. Paper silver, some of you silver apes out there are going to like this too. It's on infographic journal. There's the, there it is right there if you want to look and look for yourself. I'm going to kind of skim through it real quick. The paper silver market is 243 times larger than the physical silver market. I've said this many times. The physical silver market is actually the dog. The paper market is the tail. But unfortunately, for the last 30, 40 years, the tail has been wagging the dog. I think we're going to see a big change in that pretty soon. Paper silver trading volume versus silver, physical silver supply. So the trading volume is 243 to 1. Wow, make of that as you wish. 77,300,000 tons of paper silver traded annually in COMEX on London and COMEX, the crooked London markets and the crooked COMEX markets. Well, we know all about that. 30,060 tons annual physical silver supply. These numbers just don't match up, but it's interesting to look at them. Again, if you get a chance, do the math here and you'll see how rigged this paper market is right here, especially again, COMEX in London. Physical silver supply, annual physical silver supply is 30,060 tons. It's 0.4% of the annual volume traded. Kind of interesting, and this is production in 2020 was 24,400 tons. Silver recycling was 5,660 tons, which is kind of interesting. I can tell you as we buy a lot of silver from the local, by the way, I am a local dealer here in Florida only, brick and mortar. We buy and sell a lot of gold and silver bullion products and rare coins, but we also buy scrap silver and scrap gold from a lot of the local jewelers, a lot of the local pawn shops, and a lot of the local buyers and sellers, wholesalers around here. Particularly silver we're very competitive in. And I can tell you that our recycling, our silver purchases from other dealers who buy from the public is down substantially, maybe 70% from where it once was. We used to fill up 55-gallon drums of scrap silver, maybe almost on a monthly basis, every 2 months when it was quiet. Boy, it's a lot less than that right now. It's quiet. And again, we're a local brick and mortar. We don't deal all over the country. But no less, I can tell you, it's kind of quiet in that silver recycling business. Silver bars held by exchanges, 17,278 tons, 0.24% of the annual volume traded. And you can see the two countries where it is, the crooked COMEX markets, 4,670 tons. The crooked London markets, 12,608 tons. Paper trading versus physical trading. Here's where you can see the real difference. Look at that, 800. This is why COMEX is known as the godfather of the crooked, well, not the godfather, but the crooked COMEX. This is why they're known as crooked COMEX. 886 to 1. I mean, I'm telling you, then this is price discovery. This is where your price discovery comes from. These paper contracts, not physical, paper contracts. But no less, let me kind of move down here. Physical silver, high purity coins and bars, physical, costly to mine and refine in a minute, intrinsic value, tangible asset. So I guess it's giving you all the kind of different reasons why you want to own physical silver. Same could be said for gold. Investment, physical silver, bullion coins and bullion silver bars. 17,700 tons of American, of Eagles minted since 1986, except for this year. And the conspiracy out there this year why the American Mint or the U.S. Mint has shut down silver Eagles is because there's a lot of talk out there, and again, you can call it conspiracies, but conspiracies sometimes are very much true. You can't discover something unless it starts out as a conspiracy. And the word is that the U.S. Mint was told to stop producing silver Eagles, not because of the buyer, the COVID or whatever it is, Critter 19 I like to call it, not because of that, not because of they had issues with employees. It was, from what I've heard, they were just outright told, stop producing silver eagles. You are not helping the issue with the above ground silver supply. But who would have told them this? I don't know. COMEX, I don't know. CFTC, I don't know. Presidential working groups. So it is in the conspiracy mode, but it's very odd. They're mandated by Congress that they need to be producing this stuff all the time. They haven't followed this mandate this year. And again, I think the idea that they're closing because of Critter 19 is BS. I think they were actually, my conspiracy and a lot of conspiracies out there is that they were told to stop producing silver eagles because, again, there is a a shortage of above ground availability right now. So let's take it at 9,800 tons for the Canadians there. Wow, that's a lot actually. Paper silver, unallocated, and their description here. Paper silver, unallocated, synthetic, fractional backed silver, derivatives on silver and other claims on silver bullion bank. So this is kind of a very interesting thing. I would advise you folks go back and read it over. It kind of gives you some real basic information in almost like a very simple form. Physical silver is real and tangible, shows all the investment demand for silver, industrial demand, biocides, religious objects. I would say that the biggest uses for silver in industry would probably be electrical, definitely not silverware, definitely not photography, and jewelry, maybe somewhat. Batteries, yes. I'd say the biggest users of silver: electrical, electronics, which to me should be the same thing, photovoltaics, and batteries. I would say those are the biggest uses of silver and will continue to grow. Storage of physical silver. Paper silver does not need to be stored because there's nothing to store. Investment silver bars and coins of tangible value need to be secured, storely. Safe deposit box, home. This is all stuff we go over. What a great little infographic here. Physical silver is a monetary metal. Many modern fiat currencies names own their origin to silver, the dollar, the pound sterling. Really cool. I mean, really cool. Well done, Mr. David Wallace. Nice deal here, sir. Close your eyes. I'm going to scroll up real quick. I don't want to get you guys hurling on your keyboards. I get a little dizzy when I do that fast myself. And this is Infographic Journal. Here, I'm going to freeze this real quick. I know you can't cut and paste it, but there's your URL right there if you want to look. But I would just type in paper silver versus gold and silver on your DuckDuckGo search engine, by the way, which I like way better than Google search engine. So let's take a look at stock markets. What's going on in the stock markets? I guess they got their Christmas rally, and they're still continuing to have their Christmas rally. Lucky bastards. But it's hard. It's hard not to be a lucky bastard when you've got the bankers behind you, and giving you endless money to keep that market afloat in the greatest bubble of all time. But markets are up a little bit. I'm going to skip talking about my little full portfolio put together. We'll get to that next week maybe. Oh crap! By the way, next week going to a big show, so I'll probably be doing some of my reports not from the premises here. Take a look at the top dog in the crypto markets here. Been all over the place here, and let's take a look. And 1 month chart doesn't look good overall, but 48,000. It was sub 48 a little while ago. So that market getting pretty hammered too, monkey hammered, most likely by the whales. As I said, Bitcoin is not the innovative and cool financial fun casino that it once was. It's loaded with whales right now, and it's hard to make money when the whales are in control. Let's take a ZH here. Not an awful lot to talk about in ZH. I can kind of get sidetracked with the political and economic picture and how that paints into gold and silver, but a good article here by VBL, Vince from VBL, Mines Around the World. He shows different pictures, and I like some of the stuff he writes as well. Agree with much of it. And let's take a look. Is there anything else in here I should talk about? I'm going to kind of blow up that page. There wasn't really too much in the way of gold and silver. Let's see. That's just, what do you call that when red herring or something like that, or when you get people to look at one thing instead of looking at you. You start a fire somewhere else so they don't notice that you're covered in blood, but no less. Well, it sounds like my phones are ringing off the hook here too as well. Give me 1 second, I'll take a quick sip of coffee. Thought it would be a quiet week. Let's see what happens. Let me, Medallion, Financial, 50%. U.S. pending home sales unexpectedly tumbling. Again, home sales and that kind of thing, your values of your home, they're also in the greatest bubble of all time. This is the G boat, folks. All asset classes, pretty much, except for gold and silver. Except for gold and silver, all these different asset classes are just like right through the roof and stupid. In fact, money is even so available and so prevalent with a lot of these multimillionaires and multi-billionaires that they can afford to buy crappy art in the form of what they call NFTs. That's what rich people do that have way too much money that they don't need or that they don't really appreciate. They go out and they buy crap like NFT art. But anyway, rich man's sport or rich man's hobby, nothing I'm into, and it just kind of shows you again how much money is out there in the hands of a very small amount of people that are in bed somehow or in favor with the Federal Reserve and the central bankers out there and the administrations, government administrations that support that shit. Let's take a look here. Oh, that poor guy, he's doomed. He's doomed as far as the country goes. Nobody likes him. Let's see what happens in Turkey. So, once the money starts to go sour, once the economy starts to go really bad, the people in power will suffer. And I think we're going to see that in 2022 elections here. I think we're going to see definitely in 2024. We're going to see a complete ousting. I'd like to see an ousting of both red and blue, but I think it's going to be primarily a blue ousting. Well, let's see what happens. And as I said, never give a socialist or a progressive a checkbook, ever. Anyway, let's move along from there. LNG cargoes, all right, not too much. Gosh, I'm surprised that she hasn't killed herself yet. So, sorry. Anyways, I'm not even going to get into this stuff. Elon, oh wow, these people are just, some of these people are just wackos, man, I'm telling you. Good video, by the way. Rand Paul and his father. I'm not gonna go on from here because not too much again to talk about in precious metals here on ZH, but really good interviews. If you guys get a chance to watch this between Rand Paul, who ran for office in 2008, who I supported, and Ron Paul, and his son Rand Paul, who I hope runs for president at some point down the road. Not because I think he's perfect, just because I like the libertarian slant. I like people that are for the most part, socially liberal and fiscally conservative, and we really have not too much of that in Washington, D.C. Let me kind of move along from here because, again, we can just get into all kinds of stuff there, and I want to keep this one a little bit short. By the way, besides gata.org, who I always tell you is a free website that tells you how the gold markets are manipulated and who the players are and how the casinos do it. Ted Butler, again, I can't talk enough about this for you silver stackers out there, you guys who like silver. He does have a subscription service, and I think it's like $30 or something or more per month. I'm not quite sure, I forget, which is worth it if you can justify spending it, because he really does do these weekly updates and gives you an idea, who's doing what, how, why, and his assessment. And again, this man's been around for a long time. He knows his stuff. For those of you that don't want to pay, but would like to read some of his free stuff, here's a free archive that he runs. Again, it's on his site, Butler Research. If you just click Butler Research and go to the little button up here somewhere, let's see, where has he got it? There you go, free archive. You just hit that free archive. And again, it's a year old, so some of these are going to be, you're going to go, oh, some of them are even more than a year old. But you can read them for free, which I think is pretty cool, the free archive. And there you go. Well, hey, let's take a look at another one of my favorite sites. And again, if you're not involved with Wall Street Silver on the Reddit site, what a great enthusiastic crowd this is out here. And their entire goal is to stack more and more silver and instead of paper, and bringing more than that, more than buying silver. This group is really instrumental in getting the truth out there that these markets are monkey hammered, that these markets are manipulated in the COMEX markets and the London markets, but for silver guys, mostly in the COMEX markets. And these guys are going to be instrumental, even though I've not seen them become more politically active. I'm talking about the people that run Wall Street Silver and the the guys that moderate it. I'd like to see them become more politically active and create a program, respectful and a professional program that we started calling CFTC in comics, but they haven't done that. But that's all right. That's all right. They kind of, they're going to do what they want to do, and they run a great forum here. And the fact that they allow me to put my videos out there, and they haven't really they removed one, I'm not quite sure, but they've been pretty tolerant of my videos, in my opinion. So I greatly respect that, and I can't say much about that. And the fact is that on their forum, maybe they don't need to put together a program like that, because their members, all these apes, are really familiar with this type of monkey hammering and manipulation that happens in the comics and London markets. So maybe just the forum itself has spread the word, which is a great thing as well. Well, let me move into yesterday's video. Think for yourself and question authority. It's funny that the view count, if I put anything that says in there that says question authority or something along those lines, the view count is not that high. You got to wonder sometimes, but no less. Let's take a look at yesterday's comments. I'm going to do a quick sort. Let me see if there's any questions I can answer. I'm going to acknowledge that I really appreciate every one of you that made comment, or every one of you that watch my videos. Made the screen too big. And there goes my phone. Someone's trying to reach me, and unfortunately, I'm not answering it right now. Let's go down here to sort by newest first, and I'm going to go down to the bottom here. Comments. There you go. First, man. That's a nice deal there, Brandon. Good deal. First for you. But I'm in the market for junk silver, but the premiums are high at LSC here in yeah, boy, unfortunately. You know what, though, gnarly silver? They may be a little high, but they're high everywhere. Go out and look for some generic silver bars and try to pay less than $3.75 per ounce for 1 ounce bars, less than $3.50 for 10 ounce bars, and hundreds less than $3 1/4. By the way, folks, I'm a local brick and mortar down here. I can beat the hell off prices of JM bullion, SD bullion, and APMEX bullion for the products that really matter. As far as beating their prices on the overpriced crap that they put on their website, again, nothing wrong with them. They're capitalists, they're salespeople, and they got to make money. But I'm not going to sell you that kind of stuff. I'm not going to sell you shiny, pretty stuff with premiums that are just ridiculous. You can go to them for that. Although, if you really do want it, I do have it here, and I'll sell it to you cheaper than them. But I'm going to try to talk you into low premium or recognizable products, which is really where you should be if you're a stacker. Now, if you want to be a collector, that's a whole different thing. But gnarly silver, try to find someone, even if you have to drive an hour or two, try to stay in California. If you have to drive to Arizona, maybe you have to, but try to stay in California. I know there's some good dealers in California. You just make some calls, and you may have to make an hour or two drive, but it's worth it. You need to develop a relationship. Hard to develop a relationship with the online people. There is no relationship. It's online. It's not personal. And again, you're going to have to sell your stuff one day, and you're not going to want to mail it. You're going to want to walk into a store and grab yourself a nice check and not have to deal with that. We do live in interesting times. Thanks, Dog Will Hunt. And appreciate you commenting. Z, nice to see you commenting there. And yeah, the price there is pretty crazy. But I can't blame you. Getting it into gold and silver is probably not a bad idea. Buy the frickin' drip. Can't argue. Drip. Buy the frickin' dip, absolutely. Disco, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And my view on gold notes that come out in recent years, if you're talking about the notes that have a tiny bit of gold in them, and they're trying to promote them like a currency or some kind of tradable thing, I don't like them at all. The premiums are just absolutely crazy. Stick with low premium stuff. If you like them as collectibles, buy them. Thanks for watching, Disco C. Or Disco 74. Jim, hey, what's up? Absolutely true. Can't argue with that. Question authority. Think for yourself. But questioning is one own ignorance is way more important. John, you are absolutely correct. Especially when it's other people's ignorance people follow. And this is what I've been talking about as far as corporate news, the corporate narrative. Most people follow the corporate narrative or the official narrative, whether it's corporate or whether it's government. They follow the official narrative. They're like sheep. They're like lemmings being led off a cliff. Unfortunately, this is why I'm always saying, first you got to question where your a narrative comes from. Is it my own? Did I create this myself? Or was this narrative made for me in school or by my parents or by television or by this or that? question yours first, and then it becomes much easier to question others. Thanks for watching, John. I continue to listen because you have good, clear, well-informed information. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate that. Happy holidays, and Happy New Year to you. Joey, Happy New Year. Man, snow. Haven't seen snow in a long time. Actually, I would like to see it for a day or two. That's about it. Sorry to hear that, Heart of Texas, but I happen to know that you do have some good dealers in Texas for sure, but you probably have to drive to find them. But again, I recommend that. Call first, find someone you like, and then make the drive. You know what I mean? I really recommend establishing some relationships with someone local. Even if you're still buying online, develop a relationship with someone. Trust me on this. Hearing gold bug shit on crypto is the biggest turnoff when looking for financial advice. Arthur, man, I got to tell you a couple things. First, I'm not giving financial advice here. I'm just giving my opinion on what I've done. My experience of being a middle-aged person that's gone through 3 bull markets in precious metals, or 4 actually, second-generation dealer, and in my opinion, it's just that on crypto. I'm not shitting on crypto. I'm just calling it out for what it is. I mean, I'm not shit on crypto at all. In fact, I'm just calling out for what it is. It's not money. And really, what is it? It's not a hard, tangible asset. The problem with crypto is that so many people out there are trying to compare it to and make it into the next gold. So really, that's an issue that I have, is anyone that's trying to say, well, it's better than gold. It's like gold. It's the new gold. That's the real shit right there. So, and that's what I do criticize, is people that make those kind of bullshit comments. But no less, sorry you feel that way. And again, I'm all for cryptos. I think I wouldn't recommend it to someone that didn't know how the game was rigged. The crypto game is rigged. I would never tell anyone to put their money in there and just forget about it. Whereas I would kind of somewhat feel comfortable doing that with gold, because I think they'd be okay as well as silver. But crypto, no, I would never do that. I don't think you would either. Let me ask you, Arthur, if I told you that you had 2 choices, you had your retirement money, say you had 100,000 retirement money, I'm just making that up, and I said, Arthur, you have only 2 choices. You have to live off this choice the rest of your life. You can put your money in crypto, all of it, or you can put your money in gold, all of it, or silver. What would you do? And I'm pretty sure, being a crypto, I'm not going to call you a bug, but being a crypto optimist yourself, even you would probably put it in gold and silver. Why? Because it has a track record that crypto does not. Arthur, Happy New Year's to you, sir. And even if we disagree, I still wish you and your family a Happy New Year's. Thanks for commenting. Sarge, thank you very much. You as well and your family. Beautiful view. Thank you, Michael. The loan idea is not new. I kind of thought about that after I said that, but I thought it was a really cool idea, actually. I'm trying to think how I could take advantage of that as well. Mantra, thank you. Mantra it is. Got my first poured bar. Oh, very cool. XRF says it's legit. Well, Wayne, sorry to tell you this. Unfortunately, the XRF does not tell you if bars are legit. XRFs, I have one too. It's a $17,000 machine. And a lot of people aren't, even people that own XRFs don't realize this. XRF will only tell you what's with a few microns on the surface. It doesn't read the middle. So you could take a lead bar and coat it with gold, thick coating of gold, and it'll come up 24 karat on an XRF. Because again, XRF only reads a couple microns in the surface. So XRF is not a good test. It only tells you what the surface says. The best tests out there for gold bars and gold coins would be fish detectors, which are really cheap, made out of plastic, and you can still buy them, and a specific gravity machine. That's a real test. Wayne, thanks for watching. I'm sure you got good bars too, so I'm not worried about that. But I just figured I'd bring that little tip up. Don't trust the XRF when it comes to bars and stuff. Thanks for watching True Records. Love that. Appreciate that. Some American Eagles, because people love them, and just in case I have to depend on a picky asshole that only buys American Eagles. But honestly, I hate them too expensive. I love them. The design, yeah, it could be better. Like, who is the security features, not the buyers, and keep their ears? Yeah, they're overpriced, so I agree with you, Victor, 100%. Love the product, just overpriced. If they came down to a reasonable level, I'd recommend people buy them. Yeah, heart punches. I don't know, man. That sounded a little violent to me. Wet willies and belly slaps, or pink belly is not so much, but heart punches, I don't know. That might hurt that old bastard. Anyway, thanks for watching, Stephen. Appreciate it. Jefferson gave his nephew some advice in 1780. Question with boldness even the existence of God, because if there is one, he must more approve the homage of reason than the blindfold of fear. Man, that's a great saying, actually. Thank you for sharing that, sir. Or ma'am, I'm not sure. Glad to hear you have a GF. No, I really don't. I'm talking about my personal life too much. You know, you're not here to hear about my personal life, so and it's quite boring actually. And again, a lot of folks wonder what I look like. Well, I look like Alfred E. Newman, P. Newman, E. Newman, whatever, from the thumbnail. I'm only kidding. Self, yep, absolutely. Eli, thanks for watching. I really appreciate that. Here's Chart Guy. Chart Guy told me that he felt we were going to see a sub 900 850 run in the platinum. He was pretty much close to being right. We did see a sub 900 down to the 1895 range for a little bit. And Chart Guy says PT may have completed its bottom at platinum at 896 wave E on the monthly chart. Speaking of which, I emailed you a couple weeks ago. I didn't see the email, man. Let me check. I got some email issues here. Let me check with my sister. She handles all the emails coming in and see if she got one. Thanks for that though, Chart Guy. Which illustrates the big leg ready to transpire. Silver's chart pattern again remains well intact, looking for it to reattack the 27 area in the uptrend. May take another 4 to 6 weeks of churning, but it looks like you're ready to move forward. From your lips to the silver god's ears there, sir. Platinum, AGAU, all are lining up to see some very powerful moves once these corrections basing patterns run their course. Chart Guy, thank you very much. You've got me to look at charts a little bit differently for sure. You know, I still feel it's like a rear view mirror, but I'm understanding them a lot more. I'm reading more into them, and you make a lot of sense there. Thanks for commenting, sir. And I'll look for that email. Sorry about that. And what else do we got going on here? Thank you, Michael. And I'll take another sip of coffee. Opachias Chassis 67. Happy New Year's to you as well. And that's really about it, folks. I'm going to close this video. This is Brian Kuzmar. And make sure you hit that like and share button as well, and the subscribe button. It really helps me out. But this is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in Lauderdale by the Sea. We can help you if you live locally, and you can come into our store between 10 and 4 Mondays through Fridays. We're in Lauderdale by the Sea, brick and mortar. We can help you out and help you with your purchases, whatever you want to buy. We're going to suggest the cheaper, lower price premium stuff, and we have plenty of it, folks. Trust me, we have a great source for all types of products, even the overpriced products if you insist on buying them. And we can beat the pants off of most all the online guys, especially the three big gorillas, APMEX, JM, and SD Bullion. And as I said, if you don't live in my area, keep that money local. There's nothing wrong with these big online sellers. I think they're quite honorable companies. They're out there to make a living. It's a capitalist society. But again, try to keep that money local. It builds up your community, and that local guy spends it locally too. It may even end up back in your hands somehow. Well, hey, that's it. This is Brian Kuzmar. Call me anytime at 954-9. There we go. I got through that. No, it wasn't a fast forward. That's it. I'm going to call it and talk to you tomorrow, folks. Happy New Year's coming up, and I think tomorrow will be my last video for the rest of the year. Bye now.